My purpose in meeting with you is to convince you that it is in your best interest to talk today.
We'll grant you use immunity. Use immunity means that we cannot use any statements that you make against you.
Friends, today's silly cow is Pamela Wiggins. You see, on July the 9th, 2009, Bud and Melanie Billings were found dead in their house in Florida. The police questioned up to 9 different suspects. I have all the interrogations, but today's video we're going to focus on Pamela, who a police suspect was an accomplice. So I'll play the interrogation for you now and wait till the end as I'm going to go through how she is lying through her teeth. And this woman is no longer alive.
We have quite a bit of information that we've gathered just in the last 4 or 5 days. There is information coming in to us today, this morning at lunch, and it's clear to me that we are probably going to charge you with accessory after the fact, if not other charges. Now, in terms of the evidence we have, we know that your van had the safe put in it after the home invasion occurred. We know that based on what the witnesses have told us. You were in the van. And it's important to us that we get the safe. We don't have the safe. There's other evidence that may implicate you as well. I'm not sure the extent to which the evidence in your house implicates you. You probably know more about that than we do. But we do know that the problem you have, the main problem you have, is that that safe was in your van. And we want that safe. Now, I'm in a position where your lawyers told me that you don't feel comfortable talking today, that he doesn't feel comfortable recommending that you talk. My purpose in meeting with you is to convince you that it is in your best interest to talk today. We are eventually, in my opinion, going to make a case, and at that point in time, it's unlikely. Charlie and I have discussed it, and I'm not going to absolutely positively rule out anything, but I'm not going to be in any mood then to talk to you at all.
We'll grant you use immunity. Use immunity means that we cannot use any statements that you make against you. Do you understand that? You're going to need to say something out loud. You do understand?
Sort of, yeah.
All right. Do you have a question about it? If you have a question, ask me now.
I'm sure I do, but I'm really fuzzy right now. So.
Well,
and just it has been a while. The most she's had in many hours is just a small plate of chips, but we're going to suffer through this. Okay. Do you feel comfortable going forward?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do the best I can.
Also, we agree that pursuant to our discussions, that you will be charged as an accessory after the fact, but in consideration of your making a statement, cooperating at this time, you will be allowed to have a bond set on that charge of $10,000. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Do you also understand that this agreement entails that you cooperate and are truthful, and that if you do not cooperate or are not truthful in your statements, then the agreement is not going to be enforced?
Yes.
Okay. Understanding all that, are you ready to answer the questions?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Because of time is the essence on a couple of evidentiary items. Could you tell me where the safe is located?
The safe is located in the rear corner of my yard under a pile of bricks. You know, your investigators are really slow looking at things.
Okay. When you say the rear corner, where?
Entering the property, the left rear corner right in front of the garage. There is a pile of brick.
Okay, when you say garage, is that the garage of the house or
I don't have
the
a garage on the house. Out
okay,
back.
out back? Okay, just so I know, enter the property, left rear corner? Okay, and also the weapons, the guns.
They are with a friend over in Mississippi. I'll have to arrange to get those back.
And you can elaborate and give me the names.
You've got to tell them where they are pursuant to this deal.
Okay, what kind of guns were they?
Guns that I've had for about 20 years.
Okay.
Two of them were Mossberg shotguns, and one was an AK-47. I used to have a pawn gun shop years ago.
Two were Mossberg shotguns. One was an AK-47. Was there any other guns?
No.
Were there any handguns?
No.
Were you ever in possession of any handguns?
I found a handgun.
Where?
I don't remember right now if it was in my van. I think it was in the back of my van. And I thought, oh shit, what's this thing doing here? And I hid it
Where did you hide it?
under the back seat of a car.
What car?
It's a red Buick GS.
Red Buick GS? Where's that car located?
Right now it's at the shop to get the air conditioner fixed.
Okay, thank you for that. Now, the question I have is, do you know Patrick Gonzalez?
I do.
Okay. How well do you know Patrick?
I've known him several months, and we've gotten very close. We're like, I laughingly call him my favorite girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Because we hang out a lot together and go places, and we've all gotten to be family friends, and as far as I know, they're great people.
And when you say they, who are they?
His wife and their children come over to the house and barbecue, and kids swim in the pool, and
Okay.
when I'm out of town, he goes and feeds the dogs and cats for me, and
Okay.
looks after my kids, and
When is the last time you saw Pat?
I mean, I'm not really sure. I mean, ever since I heard about all this, everything has just gone in a circle for me. I'm not really sure. I was trying to remember that earlier today. I don't know. I remember I loaned him the van, and I wasn't feeling well that day. That's one of the issues I'm having with the Prozac and the Wellbutrin, and I just forget things, and I can't remember where I'm at sometimes. I mean, I forget where I sat at, and I can't find it. So, I don't know.
Okay, so let me help you. He calls you, does he call you on the phone, your home phone, or your cell phone?
He calls me on my cell phone.
Okay, did he call you on your cell phone that day?
Probably. Most mornings I hear from him, hey, what you doing?
He was by himself when he got the van?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you remember what he's wearing?
No.
Okay. Okay, does he have a key or did you give him a key?
I probably gave him my key to the van.
Okay. All right. And
I mean, that had my house keys on it and everything, so.
okay. Do you remember if it was morning time, noon time, or evening time when he first borrowed the car?
I think it was that morning.
That morning?
Yeah. Like mid-morning, 9, 10-ish, somewhere like I'm guessing.
Okay.
That sounds about right. Because I was, just getting started sorting through things.
Okay. And he got in it and drove off?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When did you see him next?
Later that night.
About what time, man?
I don't have any idea what
Was
time
it dark? Was it dark
dark.
outside? Where did you see him at?
He called me and said, meet me at the antique mall. And it sounded urgent. And I said, okay. No. And so I went up there.
Mm-hmm.
And here was this SUV with black guys in it that I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what all these people are doing here. And they said they had this little safe. So
Where was the little safe?
it was in one of their vehicles.
Do you remember which one?
No, because it was dark, and I was trying to talk to Patrick, and one of the black guys showed up. So
Okay. Do you remember what color of the car it came out of?
it was an SUV, and it was dark. So I don't know. I'm almost thinking gold, bronze, something like that.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. And could you describe this black guy to me?
It was 3 or 4 of them. So
The one that had the safe, you said.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay. All right. Let's start with the hair. Bushy, short, blonde. Focusing on the hair and tell me.
I didn't pay much attention really because I was just shocked. I mean, I was like scared shitless, going, what is going on? And my friend, and I'm like, I think the guy had really short hair, and I think he was kind of stocky, a little muscular.
Short hair, stocky. Okay. What did Pat tell you? Why he wanted to meet you at the antique mall?
He said, here, I need to get rid of these, make them go away.
When you say these, what are these?
My 3 guns.
Which are what?
Over in Mississippi.
Okay.
And that safe.
Okay.
And that's all he told me, and then they left.
Okay. How did Pat get your guns?
That I'm not sure of. We were talking about that earlier, and he has a kid. I mean, he comes and goes. He's a family friend. Him and his wife, and he knows where my daughter has her hide key on the back porch.
Now, just to give you context, Patrick planned to steal the safe from the Billings house. This safe, or some of the weapons, ends up in Pamela's home. The question is, did Pamela know, or was this an accident? Let's keep going.
And he comes and goes.
Where did you keep those guns at your house?
They were upstairs in the bedroom, in a closet.
Which bedroom?
The guest bedroom.
A guest bedroom? In a closet, and that'd be the only closet in that bedroom?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and all 3 were kept in that closet. Okay. Okay. When he tells you to get rid of these, what explanation is he giving you?
He didn't. They just, hurry, we gotta go. And I said, okay. And I'm, scared. And I didn't know what he was into. I said he was in some deep shit. I didn't know what.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, what are we gonna do with these?
Okay.
Just tried to help a friend.
Okay. When you asked him what he was doing with your guns, what did he say?
I didn't have time to, it was real fast. Here, get these back. Here's these. He said something about, we got into a situation, but we didn't shoot these. We didn't need these or something. I think that's what he said.
Justin, why you at it?
No, like I said, it was real quick. It was like, here, get rid of these. We gotta go.
And at the antique mall, where did this take place?
Back in front, I have like a semi-trailer storage container right there
In the parking lot?
in the parking lot.
Okay. What did you do then?
I had a key to the lock on the container, and the black guy got it out of their SUV and set it in the back of my van. I said, oh, no. What am I going to do with that? I said, just stick it right there. And they stuck it in the container.
Did you lock the container back?
I did.
Okay.
And then I went home, and all night, and the next morning I'm thinking, holy shit, what am I supposed to do with this? Because if it's on my lot property, then I'm responsible for it. So, I didn't want to hurt a friend. at that time, I didn't know what had happened. And I didn't want to cause him any undue grief. So I didn't like call up anybody. I didn't know anybody to call. And then when I heard what had happened, I was in such shock. I'm still, every time I think about it, I just start shaking my head because I don't understand. But I started getting really freaky. I said, I don't know what happened. I don't know who did what. I don't know what happened that night. But from what I'm hearing on the news and what he's charged with, it's kind of heavy. It's probably 80, 90 pounds, something.
Can you describe it real quick?
I don't know, about a 2 foot square or so, beige, I think.
Okay.
I knew I couldn't pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to hurt a friend, but I didn't want to get hung with it either, because I didn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess this is a bad mother. My son knows nothing about what had happened. I went to him, I said, Casey, I want you to do me a favor. I said, Patrick and some guys showed up with this little safe and stashed it. And now there's a bunch of stuff in the news, and I think he's gotten into some trouble. I don't know what all's happened. But I need to get that out of my locked possession, because I don't need this. So I asked him to bring it over to the house, and I put the bricks on top of it, because I just didn't know what else to do with it.
Your son Casey, how old is Casey?
He's 20.
20. Does he live with you?
No, he lives on Jackson Street. So I just took the guns and got them out of here.
Where did you take them?
Over to Mississippi.
Before or after the search warrant?
Well, actually, before the search warrant, I took them down and put them in the containers, where the safe had been.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I had, and then I got the safe out of there, and then I took the guns out of there, because I just wanted that stuff away from me.
When you say you get the safe out of there and the guns out of there, are you?
Two different times.
Okay.
Casey moved the safe, which was, I guess, right before the search warrant.
Mm-hmm.
And then after the search warrant, I'm like, holy shit, what is going on? I don't know what happened with these guns. I don't know what he did with them or didn't do with them. He told me he didn't use them. Whether he did or he didn't, I don't know. But I just didn't want anything to do with it. Wanted them away from me.
Okay. So you prior to the search warrant, you moved the guns to the business.
To the container outside.
Okay, the container outside. Okay. All right. And I have to ask, during the search warrant, it was common knowledge we were looking for a safe. Why didn't you tell me it was there?
Why am I supposed to tell you? Y'all are there tearing my house apart. I couldn't even step in the door of my bedroom. It took me 3 hours to put my bed back together where I had a place to sleep.
Okay. But for somebody, and being cynical, but somebody that didn't know what was going on and was a search warrant for a safe, wouldn't have been easier
They
to see
didn't
it.
tell me about a search warrant for a safe. They said, we got a search warrant, we're looking for guns and this and this and this.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what's on that search warrant.
Okay.
I
It was read and safe was listed in the affidavits and the search warrant.
That's part of my issue right now with all the stress and the medication. I hear things and they're kind of blurry.
Mm-hmm.
Like some mornings, like you'd ask me, was he dropped off or I picked him up? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I've also learned stuff in the last couple of months. Again.
Okay. Okay. With your dealings with Pat, when was the first time your knowledge was that they were going to rip somebody off?
A while back, a couple months ago or so, I heard him talking about some guy that was laundering money. He was a nasty, evil, horrible guy, and he was laundering money for the Mexican mafia and so forth and so on. And some guy said something about they wanted to get rid of him.
Some guy. Who was some guy?
What he told me was somebody in Cab or Cabo or something like that.
What did Pat say about Cabo or Cab?
He just said that there was a contract out on that guy.
And who is that guy?
Apparently the victim.
Did he say the victim?
No. Uh-uh.
Did he ever mention that guy by name?
Probably. I think I heard the name Billings or something. I never met him, never saw him, didn't know anything about it.
Okay, so far she's playing dumb. She's not sure about the safe, she's not really that sure about the guns, and now she claims that she did not know the Billings. I'm going to continue playing it now, but remember, stay till the end, because I'm going to go through a full timeline of her history to show you that she is lying.
Okay. Where did this conversation take place?
I don't remember.
Did this conversation take place in your house?
I don't remember. I don't recall.
Did this conversation take place in the upstairs of your house?
I don't know. I don't remember. I think, there was probably several different conversations about him making a robbery, but that was as far as I knew, is he was going to rob somebody.
Did those conversations happen in your house?
There probably were some there, but where else, probably riding down the road. I've got a back porch upstairs.
Mhm.
Sometimes we sit up there and talk, and he would tell me his thoughts on things, and I told him, no, don't, it's not a good idea, don't do it.
How many times did you have conversations about the situation where you told him no?
I couldn't tell you. I don't recall. More than one or two.
More than one or two conversations?
Yeah.
The conversations that you had about the robbery, did they tell you how they were going to do it?
They said, well, I heard 2 or 3 different versions.
Okay. Let's go with the first version you heard.
It was variations on climbing a fence or going in and kicking the door in and finding a safe room and loading up the money.
When you say safe room, what do you mean by safe room?
There was supposedly a safe room where this guy kept all his money that he was laundering. It was a money laundering operation where he did all this financing to the tote car lots,
Mm-hmm.
and that all these guys that he was jacking up with interest on the note car lots, all had kind of gotten together to rob this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't make a lot of sense to me, but.
Okay. When you say go around and kick it in, what do you mean by that?
Like kicking the door.
Okay. How were they going to do that?
I don't know. I never robbed a house.
Okay. Did they say how they were going to do it?
No, just said they were going to kick the door in and go in.
And who was they?
Him and whoever he might be with. I didn't know.
And who would that be?
I don't know any of those people. I have met his dad, but I didn't know he was in on this deal. And all those black guys, I don't know them.
Were those black guys ever at your house during any of these conversations?
No.
Was anybody with Pat at your house during any of these conversations?
I'm thinking that one time, remember I told you one time a black guy showed up, and he and I were really drunk. Because sometimes when he gets off work, we get in the scotch pretty hard. And Patrick showed up with a black guy. And what they talked about, I don't really know, because 3 guys were talking
Where were they at?
in the living room downstairs.
And when you say those 3 guys, who would those 3 guys be?
Hugh and Patrick and the black guy. And I remember he told them, don't bring anybody else to our house. So I didn't know who he was at that time.
Didn't know who it was.
The black guy.
At that time, who is he now?
Gary.
Gary who?
I don't know Gary who.
How many times have you met Gary?
Well, that time I was totally intoxicated. And then another time later, he has a paint and body shop or something, and in my garage I've got a '59 Bentley that's in primer that needs to be finished sprayed.
Mm-hmm.
And he came over and looked at the car to finish painting for me.
And is that the time that they had this conversation about, or one of the times they had this conversation about robbing?
No, he just came to look at the car.
Was he by himself?
Yeah.
Did you go outside and to meet him?
Yeah, I took him out to the shop to show him the Bentley in the shop out back.
Okay. What was he driving?
I'm not sure if I ever saw what he was driving, because when they got there, I was sitting on the back porch swing. I sit outside a lot, because I don't like being inside. And I'll sit on the back porch swing with some ice tea or something and play with catch with my puppy. And yeah, I believe so.
Did Gary ever come over by himself?
Not that I know of, not that I'm aware of.
Okay, with Pat.
Just that time. The one time when we were really drunk, and then he came back to look at the car. As far as I know, that's the 2 times he was in the house.
Okay. Tell me about the Walmart trip where Pat bought the boots.
That I don't know anything about. I got my van back and my rearview mirror is broke and there's a crease down the side of my van. And then one of the investigators says, well, what do you know about Patrick being at the Walmart with these black guys? I'm like, huh? I know nothing about it. He took my van to go to Pensacola to run errands, and they said, well, yeah, he did.
Okay. The day we receipt for the boots, the video has your van in the parking lot.
Well, was I there?
I don't know. I just know the van's there. That's why I'm asking. Was you there?
No. I have no knowledge of being with Patrick buying boots at a pocket anywhere.
Was you with Patrick buying any type of boots or black pants or black shirt?
No. He borrows my van from time to time, but I haven't been with him buying anything like that.
Okay. Did you participate in any of the conversations in the robbery to help orchestrate the robbery? Okay. Did you participate in any plans to obtain money from Mr. Billings?
I had conversations with Patrick on several different occasions where he would discuss possibly doing a robbery this way or possibly doing a robbery that way and possibly doing a robbery another way and trying out different scenarios. And I discussed that with him.
What would be the scenarios?
Well, variations on finding the wife somewhere and picking her up and bringing her back to the house, or just going to his office or kicking the door in, just throwing ideas out, plans. And I say, well, that sounds stupid, or that sounds crazy, or why would you do that?
Were those your ideas or his ideas?
They were his. I mean, he was just discussing possible ways to do a situation.
Okay.
Just ask me what I thought about it.
What would one of the scenarios have been, you remember?
Well, like I said, one of them was climb over the fence and go up there and kick the door in. One of them was go up there in a car. One of them was, go into disguise.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was possibly pick one of them up at the road, at the convenience store and carjack them. Mm-hmm. Just different things like that.
When you said earlier that different ways, was this with the same victim or always a different?
No,
victim?
With the idea of doing this one robbery.
So this was always the idea of doing this particular robbery?
That robbery.
How do you know it was this particular robbery?
Well, I don't. I just presumed. I didn't know for sure. I mean, I just presumed it was.
By what way?
Know about anything else. I'm not involved in his business like that. I mean, we're friends and hang out and stuff, and I've been having a real hard time and moving and getting stressed out, and I've had panic attacks, and he'll come by and talk to me, and then he'll start throwing these ideas out about things he's thinking about doing, and I think he just liked picking my brain.
And what would have been one of your ideas?
I don't have any ideas on that.
What do you mean by picking your brain then?
Well, he'd asked me what I thought about doing a robbery this way, or what I think about doing a robbery that way.
What would be your answer?
However it was relevant at the time. I mean, if you ask me, should I paint this wall green or red? You know, it would be an opinion.
Okay, let me ask you this. If I said, what about robbing by kicking the door in? What would be your answer on the other side of it?
I'd be like, well, how do you know you can kick the door in? And don't you think there'd be a security system? And what's going to happen when you get in there? You know, people have alarms and like that.
Did Patrick ever say about the alarms on this particular incident?
He said he knew there was a high level of security there
When he said high level, what did he mean?
because there was allegedly a lot of money in there.
Okay. When he explained to you the high level of security, what did he explain to you?
That was the explanation. That was about it. He said he knew that the guy had videos in his office, you know, where he could watch the kids during the day while he was gone. And I said, well, I mean, I'm an amateur here. I said, don't you reckon that they were recording some of that?
What did he say?
He said, he didn't know. And I said, well, don't you reckon you ought to look into it?
How would he go about that?
I have no idea. I was like, this was just a very generalized brain picking session.
How did he know there was a way to look at it from the business?
I think somebody had been in the guy's office and knew that he had his computer screen or a monitor or something where he could see the house and whatever place
Did
it
he
was.
tell you who that person was?
I don't remember.
Did he say he ever saw that stuff?
Not that I recall.
Have you ever seen any of
Oh
that?
no, I've never been there.
Okay. Did he tell you what level of force they were going to use? Did he ever tell you he was going to kill them during that robbery?
No, he said it was going to be a military commando, just kick the door in and go to the safe room and load everything up.
How were they going to get into the safe?
Didn't say, didn't specify. Because I just really didn't want to hear anymore. I mean, I didn't want to be rude to a friend, but I didn't ask any particulars and he didn't say. So I just let it go.
Did he say how they were going to dress?
No.
Did he say how many people it would?
I had no idea. When I saw that on the TV with 7 people up there, I was shocked.
Did he ever discuss that in front of you?
Not that I recall. I mean, I recall that he said he had some other people that were going to work with him.
How many did he say?
He didn't say. He said that he had some other people.
Did he mention who those other people were?
I don't know any of them. He just said he had other people.
Did he mention anybody that you knew? Okay. Did he say when this was going to happen? Did they have a target date?
No, not that I knew of.
Okay. Did they have a target date that got canceled before the actual incident?
Yeah, about a week or so before that. This is when I kind of figured that things weren't like. About a week and a half before that Thursday, he had asked me he said, we're going to do a robbery. We're going to hit this guy that launders all this money. Okay. He said, would you sit down over here in Alabama at this convenience store, and if we do the job, and if we do that, can I just throw the money in the back of your van and you go home with it? That way if somebody's following me, won't be in trouble. And
I didn't hear you.
And I let him talk me into doing that. So I was sitting way down the road somewhere.
On the day of the murder?
No, this was a week and a half before.
Oh, okay.
Because you asked me, had there been something before that
Okay.
got canceled? Okay. So I'm just sitting down the road, listening to the radio. And up comes the red van and an SUV with black guys in it. I don't know.
What kind of red van?
It looked like the red van in videos.
Not yours.
No.
You're in yours. Are
Yeah,
you in your van?
I'm sitting in my van way over there in Alabama at the convenience store.
Okay.
I don't even know what's going
Now,
on.
when you say it comes up, are you talking about where you're at?
Yeah, down the road, coming up the road,
Okay.
is that old style red van that looks like the one used in the murder robbery.
Mm-hmm.
And an SUV with black guys in it.
What color SUV?
They're getting the bronze, gold. I think it's the same one that showed up the night of the murder. When I told you, they called me to stash the safe. And Patrick and his dad jumped in the van with me. He said, "Move over there, I'm gonna drive."
Okay, wait a minute. When you get out of your car.
Yeah, and I
when they drive up.
Yeah, and Patrick says, "Let me drive," and I'll go around and get in the passenger side. He said, "We called it off. We didn't do the robbery tonight."
Well, he gets in your van.
Yeah, he gets in my van.
And you get in the passenger seat of your van.
In my van.
Who's driving the red van?
I don't know. I don't remember. I didn't pay any attention to that because there was
How
other
many
guys.
were in there?
I don't know. There was 3, 4. I don't know. I wasn't counting them.
More than one, though.
Yeah, more than one.
Patrick, and you say 3 more, or Patrick made 3?
No, there was Patrick. Because he's my buddy. He's really the only one I'm paying attention to. The rest of these guys, I could give a shit. I don't know them. They don't mean anything to me. Whatever. He said, we had to call the whole thing off. We drove up the driveway and the lights all went on and lit up like Wrigley's Field out there. And we called it off. And I said, "Patrick, I don't want nothing else to do with this. You need to not have anything else to do with this. This is crazy. I'm out. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want any part of it. Nothing to do with it."
Okay. Were they equipped with weapons that day?
I don't recall. I didn't see any. I don't know.
But that was the day it was supposed to happen.
They were supposed to do a robbery, and then they didn't.
So.
And then they said there was all this security and all this kind of stuff, and I said, "No, I don't want anything to do with it on that."
Excuse me.
And the only thing that they put in that container was that safe. And then I took it out of there and put it exactly where I told you.
Okay. Is it locked now?
Yeah.
Where is the key? Where's the key?
Hanging on the wall in the store.
Okay.
I mean, anybody can go by and pick up the key. It's hanging right there on the wall.
Is it your business?
Yeah.
You give us permission to go in the container?
Sure, there's nothing in there but junk.
Okay, and the key's in the business?
As far as I know.
Okay.
I'm finding out all kinds of stuff I didn't know.
Okay, and is there anything else on the property? And there'd be 2 questions. Anything else at your house that is pertaining to this murder?
There is nothing else in my world pertaining to this. I have told you everything that I possibly know about it. I don't have any more ideas, no more thoughts, no more property, no more anything.
Okay.
I've told you everything.
And who helped bury the safe?
Me.
By yourself?
Yeah.
Well, you got your son to move.
Well, he didn't know about all this. I just said, I don't know what Patrick's into, but I think he's into some deep shit. And I want this thing just moved to my house, just sit it right there. And then he went back in to cook dinner for his new girlfriend. So he was inside cooking and taking care of his baby. And I just stacked a few bricks on top.
Okay.
I mean, it wasn't buried. I just pushed a few bricks up on top of it.
Okay. Well, back over in Alabama when they met up and it got canceled.
Mm-hmm.
Where did guns go?
I don't know. I'm not even sure if I remember seeing them. I remember Patrick came up and they started telling me about how all the lights came on in the security system and all this kind of stuff. And we drove home and I went inside and went to bed.
We who?
Patrick was driving and his dad was sitting in the back seat.
And they took you home?
Dropped his dad off.
Where?
On Palm Court. And then we went to Gulf Breeze. And I said, "Listen, I'm tired. I'm about to fall asleep." So he dropped me off at my house and drove my van home.
Okay.
With him. And was supposed to bring it back to me the next day. I think he brought it back in the middle of the day or noon or something like that. I mean, I didn't have anything I could do.
Did you ever see him with a weapon that day?
Not that I recall. I don't remember.
Did you ever see any of those people with weapons that day?
No.
Okay.
I just saw them drive up. I mean, I never saw them before. I was sitting down the road somewhere. They come driving up in the dark in this SUV and a red van. And they park over here on the side, and Patrick and his dad come around and jump in my van. And we drive off and go home.
All right. The Pat dropped you off, and you went to bed and slept.
Yeah.
The next day, what was the conversation about with him?
It was pretty brief, as I remember. I mean, best I recall, it was pretty brief. And he said something about, yeah, the security system, it lit up like Wrigley's Field, and the high level of security system. And I said, well, I think you need to forget it. So I don't want nothing else to do with it. Don't ask me. I'm not going near it. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want anything else to do with it.
What did he say?
He said, well, I think it's still a good idea. I think, we work it out. And that was the last I heard of it.
How was he going to disable the personal security?
He never said. He didn't tell me. Obviously, he didn't.
Okay. All right. That conversation took place.
There was no general specifics. He didn't talk to me about general specifics, about how he was going to do it, the mechanics of how he was going to do it. When he talked to me, it was like generalizations, concept ideas, not specifics on how to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to do anything like that.
Okay.
Cook a pound cake. I don't know how to do a security system.
The next day after that, did you have contact with him?
See, I had very sketchy contact with him, that whole couple things. Actually, the day that y'all showed up with the search warrant, earlier when my son was in there in the kitchen starting to do the prep work to cook dinner, he mentioned to me, he said, Mom, I hadn't seen Patrick around much. You and Patrick hadn't been hanging out much the last couple of weeks. Did y'all have a falling out? Did y'all have a fight or something? I'm like, no, I just hadn't been feeling well, and he's been busy with some project. He's been busy with something he's working on.
Okay, but after that day, did he ever tell you that they were going to do another run at it?
I don't recall. I mean, he still was talking about it,
Mm-hmm.
but as far as a time or a date or
Did he ever tell you that any type of the original plans were changed?
I don't know what you mean by original plans. Or, like I say, after that night when they didn't do it, and I told him I didn't want anything else to do with it, I really didn't have much discussion with him on it. And as far as technicalities and mechanics, like you were asking me,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a clue. I couldn't help with that.
Okay. Did, in between that time and the actual date of the incident, did he ever inform you that plans had changed or were going through with it?
He didn't specify. Like I said, I didn't get into this kind of discussion.
Okay. Any time between that time?
I heard him talk about still being interested in doing the job.
Okay.
But as far as technically when and how and all of it, I don't know.
Any time between that period, did he ask you to participate again?
I think he probably said something about, are you going to go with us again or something? Or sit down the road so I can get you some money or something? And I said, no, I'm out. I want no part of it. I said, I said, it's stupid. There's a lot of security there. There's a lot of, you don't know what you're doing. No.
What do you mean you don't know what you're doing?
Well, obviously, you don't. I don't know who all these guys are. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I said, no, I'm not in on this. Yeah, I'm out.
All right. At any time during that time, did he ask to borrow your van to participate in this incident?
No, not to participate in it. I mean, he borrows my van a lot.
Okay.
That couple of weeks he did, for some reason. I don't know, Tabitha always seemed to have an appointment or something, at least that's what he told me. And like, I got most of my moving done, and I was just trying to sort out around the house where I didn't have a lot of places I had to go.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, sure, several different days he'd borrow it for a couple hours or half a day or whatever. It was no big deal, it was pretty common.
Okay. And a couple more questions. At any point during this conversation, at any point during this whole affair, Did he specifically tell you that he was going to shoot him?
Yeah.
Anytime during this whole affair, did you participate in the conversation by saying that you wanted him shot?
No. Well, why? I don't know the guy. I got no interest in that.
Okay. And anytime during this whole affair, have you heard that somebody ordered this shot, the man shot?
I heard that cab or cabo or whatever, whoever that is, was going to pay him to do a hit.
Okay.
I had heard that, but I didn't,
Okay.
Right, so that's the end of the interrogation. Now let me tell you about her life. When she was arrested on July the 15th, she was charged as an accessory after the fact for the murders. Right? This capped a mounting tide of legal and financial troubles for Pamela. She was an antiques mall owner who bought and developed more than a dozen properties. Court documents and legal paperwork reveal an erratic trail of multiple mortgages, marriages, and other significant legal troubles in her life. According to court records, when she was arrested, she owed several banks millions of dollars and she was married to 2 men at the same time. Huh? According to the clerk of the court, in the 6 months leading up to the murders, she started foreclosure proceedings on at least 7 mortgages and she had $2.2 million in unpaid loans. In the house she was talking about, investigators found several items of black clothing stuffed into a garbage can. They found boxes of ammunition and they also found 10 other guns, some of which resembled the murder weapon. Now, Pamela herself was sentenced to 28 years in prison. I have the interrogations of all the other suspects. I'll post them at a later date so you can get the full story on who actually murdered these people. But in July 2015, Pamela died in state prison. I think she was in on it and she wanted some money to pay off some of her debts. Do you agree with my assessment?